Beer here back in the Fantasy Bar, big Wednesday night in the NBA. I've got 6 of my favorite plays on FanDuel and DraftKings. Will keep everyone under 8,000 to make life easy on you. Some of my favorite value plays, some guys filling in for injured stars, and of course, my favorite play tonight. Who we talking about? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome in, guys. Wednesday edition, Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Good to be back here in the Fantasy Bar. Huge shout out to my boys Grant and Notorious for stepping in behind the bar for me while I was gone. But we are back. 6 plays coming up for you on FanDuel and DraftKings. Now, before we get into things, as always, you guys know the drill. Hit that thumbs up button. You guys have been doing a great job with that. Subscribe to the channel and go and check out scoresandodds.com/beer for everything sports betting. Another round of March Madness coming up, and what a weekend it was. But premium picks, analytics, tons of information there, guys. That link in the description of the video. All right, let's get into this 11-game slate. Going to have some cash game plays, some tournament plays, something for everybody here. Let's start at point guard, shooting guard with one of my boys, DAVION Mitchell of the Kings. Now, we've seen Mitchell in here a ton, has his own bar stool here, front of the Fantasy Bar for good reason. I am a big fan of DAVION Mitchell, and tonight, really going to be a big fan. No Sabonis, likely no De'Aaron Fox here in this game against Indiana. We've seen this guy step his game up. You look at some of the production of late, the shots starting to come up, double-digit shots in every game. We know he can contribute in a ton of categories, but 22 shots in that last game, 46 fantasy points, and that's the level of upside this guy has. He does that again tonight on FanDuel, easy 10x. So love the ceiling here with DAVION Mitchell, especially against Indiana. 3rd most fantasy points allowed to this position. Just too cheap. A lock for your cash games and plenty of tournament upside here. All right, let's move to the center position next with JAKOB of the Spurs. You talk about a guy getting it done with this opportunity. He's played extremely well this season and a floor that you can really count on in your cash games. We're talking only 2 times over the last 17 games has this guy dropped under 29 DraftKings points. So you almost lock in a double-double for POELTL each and every night. Now, for our tournament players, they're ceiling here as well. Multiple games here between 45 and 59 fantasy points for him here over the last couple weeks and months. So definitely a guy that can go nuts as well and outperform these low 6 salaries. Portland, great matchup for him here. As we know, 6 most fantasy points to the center position. And a lot of those numbers were with Nurkic in there. You don't have him dealing with them. Old buddy Drew Eubanks here trying to slow him down. I think JAKOB in for a big night tonight against the Blazers. All right, let's go to Dallas. Obviously a team we're going to want to target here tonight with point guard, shooting guard, JALEN Brunson. So we know Luka not going to play tonight, so we go to our old friend Court IQ here in our RotoGrinders premium suite of tools. We run the numbers this season with Luka off the floor, and JALEN Brunson, as you'd expect, almost a 9% usage bump, and that takes him over 31% this season without Luka. You can go back and do a historical run. It's going to look the same here. So very consistent production for JALEN Brunson when Luka is off the floor. You also factor in no Tim Hardaway Jr. either. So this team really going to be starved for offense here. And in this game specifically, you add all of that to a matchup with the Houston Rockets, who have allowed the most fantasy points to the point guard position, play at a very fast pace. We know Dallas loves to play slow. In fact, the slowest pace in all of the NBA. I think Houston's going to help speed that up a little bit here. I think JALEN Brunson too cheap, especially over on FanDuel at 5,300. All right, next pick. Let's stay at point guard, shooting guard with Jordan Poole of the Warriors. Now we know Steph Curry going to miss a couple weeks here, and Jordan Poole is doing his best to step in and help fill some of this void. You're never going to completely replace Steph Curry, but between him, Klay Thompson, guys like that, Poole's done a great job here. We're talking very solid floor, 10 straight games of 32 or more DraftKings points. In fact, that ceiling that we're talking about is there as well. 3 of those games went for 45 or more DraftKings points. On Miami, a lot of questionable tags on the other side, but the one that's interesting, Jimmy Butler, who probably would spend some time on Poole. Klay Thompson, he's out. That obviously makes the matchup a little bit easier here. And I think what's going to happen, we're going to look at these prices. They're used to paying mid-6s for Jordan Poole. Now that price up in the 7s. Don't let the sticker shock hit you here. Jordan Poole still a solid play here without Steph Curry. All right, let's look at another team with an injured star, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going with power forward center, Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, the natural thought will be Ja Morant plays point guard. Let's look at some of these guards here, and you could certainly do that with Memphis, but I go back to Court IQ. We run the numbers, and it's Triple J here that gets the bump and the highest bump when Ja Morant is not playing, and it makes sense. Morant's so involved offensively, but Jaren Jackson can certainly step in and be this primary scorer for this Memphis team. But over a 5% usage bump here takes him to almost 31% when Ja is not playing. Another guy coming in good form, 29 or more DraftKings points now in each of the last 6 games. Brooklyn, bottom half of the league in fantasy points allowed to power forward. So the guards certainly deserve a look here for Memphis. But for me, it's Jaren Jackson Jr. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for Wednesday night. Before we do that, we want to continue the Beast of the Night contest. Free to play, easy to play, and most importantly, a thank you to you guys for checking out the video and hanging out here in the fantasy bar. All you got to do, get in the comment section right below the video and guess fantasy points on FanDuel for my favorite play tonight. Closest guess can win themselves a free week of RotoGrinders Premium. Now, let's get to it. My favorite play for Wednesday night, you know him as the Beast of the Night. All right, Beast time. We are not done with Dallas. That's how good Luka is. We're going back to the Mavericks with point guard, shooting guard Spencer Dinwiddie, tonight's Beast of the Night. Now, we gave you the numbers for Jalen Brunson. Both these guys are going to be very popular, but with good reason here. Luka is that good. So much usage to soak up here. I would not worry about ownership here. And these are the first 2 guys you should be plugging into your cash game lineups, and hell, even into your tournament lineups here. But let's get into some of the numbers here. We mentioned Brunson's numbers. Dinwiddie's maybe even better here, 11% usage lead without Luka. Now, obviously a smaller sample size here with him just coming over here, but another guy that's been productive here of late, even when Luka's in the lineup. We're talking 5 straight, 32 or more DraftKings points here. We've mentioned how bad Houston is against point guard. They're not much better against shooting guard, bottom 3 there as well. And this slow-paced Dallas team gets a nice, juicy matchup here with Houston. The total indicates that here as well. 118-point total here for the Dallas Mavericks. Just too cheap here on Spencer Dinwiddie. Ignore the ownership. Ignore the chalk talk. These 2 guys, fantastic plays with Spencer Dinwiddie. Easily my favorite play on the board and tonight's Beast of the Night. All right, guys, that'll do it for Wednesday night in the Fantasy Bar. Any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up in that comment section right below the video. Don't forget fantasy points for Spencer Dinwiddie on FanDuel for your shot at some free RotoGrinders Premium. And check out scoresandodds.com/beer for tons of great sports betting information. That link, once again, in the description here of the video. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut, guys. Good to be back. Thank you so much for watching. We'll take tomorrow off. Be back with another video on Friday. We'll talk to you then, guys. Go get them tonight, and we'll see you.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist.